Tonight on The Breakdown, we unpack Bledisloe #1. How does the panel rate the 4-try-apiece opener? He comes cap in hand. Aaron Smith, the All Blacks' newest centurion, joins us in studio. And who are the greatest All Black locks as voted by you? That's all ahead on The Breakdown.
Kia ora koutou katoa. Hello and welcome to The Breakdown. The first Bledisloe is behind us and the All Blacks have taken control of the series and are one more win away from locking the cup in the trophy cabinet once again. The Springboks have bested the British and Irish Lions, and in case you didn't know, World Rugby has changed the laws again to try and find everyone some space. So JK Mills is back as well. Chelsea Alley joins the team. Bernie with us very, very soon. OK, let's start, Mills. Two teams on the weekend at Eden Park. Tough first 20 minutes of both sides, but how much better do you expect both teams to be this weekend at Eden Park?
I think they'll be a lot better. I think it lacked a little bit of accuracy, particularly earlier on from both sides, a little bit scrappy. That fluency was out of the game for sure, and I just wonder whether that sort of couple of weeks, you know, sometimes no matter how hard you train, you can't quite get to that intensity until you're out there on the field. So, but all in all, it's a big tick because we've got one hand on the Bledisloe and one more to go, and we'll keep it in the cabinet.
JK, concerned, not concerned? What did you make of the 80-minute performance?
Oh, yeah, I thought it was really sloppy. Probably, I think I said on air, probably the sloppiest 25 minutes I've seen for a long time. But they came back and won it. I think that's a sign of the courage. You know, it's not easy to get that sort of performance back when things aren't going right. So that was really good. Like Mills said, one hand on the cup, good win. Coach probably can wind the boys up. Last 10 minutes, Chelsea, I thought. So really what I would like to see is consistency of an 80-minute performance. When I say consistency, I don't mean you have to be great through it, but, you know, sort of mistakes spread out across 80 minutes, not just in a bunch, maybe.
Yeah, Chelsea, we got a sense, though, going into this test match, this was the #1 team for the All Blacks. The fact they looked at form and everyone coming back in. When you look at the selection maybe this week, are there some hard discussions over the last 24 hours of what they do this weekend?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what the coaches do go with this week. But for me, having 2 test matches against the same team back-to-back weekends is the perfect opportunity to get a great review done among your team, fix any mistakes. They need to sort their discipline out. So for me, I'd kind of be leaning towards getting near the same crew back out there, and after a bit of review, seeing how they can fix their mistakes and really testing their resilience.
Are some of those things simple, Mills? I mean, you've seen the game, you've looked at it in depth, you've coached the game, played so much of it, you look at doing a review. We're going to talk to Nuggie in a moment. Let's see whether we can be on the mark. But the simple things they can fix for you?
Oh, I think so. I think it's fixable. You could obviously see from the outside in, see what they were trying to expose in terms of, I suppose, the wider channels, that sort of upbeat sort of game. You know, Australia will be the same as well. You know, earlier on, they didn't get their set piece right. They came right in the end. I'm talking about their line-out and the variation in the line-out as well. I was really surprised about sort of the way they went about that. But I think it's fixable. I think what Chelsea's mentioned is that consistency in selection, and it's probably hammered home more for the coach, the fact that the reserves didn't quite, you know, lift that to the next level. So I say get the same team out there again, you know, in my opinion, and start building some of those combinations.
The last couple of years, Chelsea, we have struggled with the first test against the Wallabies. The fact, yes, we've gone through Trans-Tasman this year, but when you're talking about making adjustments, from what you saw in terms of tactically from the All Blacks, do you think they might change things going into this week? Yeah,
that's really interesting. We have struggled in the first test, but historically we come back in the second test and put a really solid performance in there. So I think the coaches will be making subtle changes. I hope that they do have a kind of B game plan to go to if they need to, because, yeah, the game plan they played last week, I just felt like it didn't quite click in certain areas. So I think, yeah, they'll review that and hopefully go into their back pocket for Plan B.
That's a great point about that Plan B, Plan A. I mean, the combination of the laws right now, and we saw it in South Africa.
Don't start me on the laws.
I'm not starting on the laws specifically right now.
Start me on the laws.
No, but the fact of the nature of the game and how strong and teams are defensively, and the game, particularly early on, is quite suffocating in terms there is very little space, so much pressure. Is our kicking game, does our kicking game need to be a little bit more manipulative in the first 20 minutes, control and maybe ease into it, rather than it looked as though on the weekend we tried to go to the edges quite early on, rather than playing a little bit of breeze, a little bit of moisture in the ground?
Oh, look, I don't think you can judge the first 25 minutes, and it'll be interesting to talk to Aaron, because it's frustrating when across the board you make errors, because you cannot go out and actually implement the game plan that you want, and you can't build those blocks. Like, you might kick early to bring the defence up or things like that. If you're making errors, you can't establish that. And so I think it throws the whole game plan out the window. I think that's the most difficult thing. The thing that frustrates me the most at the moment is you can't even get any rhythm at the moment, because there is a law every two rucks. So there's, you know, and so that's what we need to address. We need to have some sort of continuity where you can run yourself into some form, or you can start breaking down defences. You know, it's a power game now. We need to take some of the power out of it with fatigue. But why would you change the bench on the weekend when there wasn't any play over sort of 30 or 40 seconds? You know, we're not seeing the 10 or 12 rucks anymore. And we need to do something about that, because fatigue is a big part of test matches for me.
Are we a bit too much risk and reward sometimes, Mills? The fact that we're thinking we can try and break down the defence earlier on is a conservative game plan that might be of benefit to the All Blacks, or we go from minute 1 to minute 80 and just we take what's in front of us?
Well, we'd like to. I think as an audience and as a spectator, we'd love to see the All Blacks do that. But I just think they didn't quite get that balance right. You know, at the beginning, things weren't, you know, they were in their own half. The territory game was lost possession as well. But Australia were making mistakes. And, you know, we had our first crack, didn't quite get it right. It wasn't as smooth and fluent. I would have loved to see them to say, well, OK, this isn't going right. Let's put it in behind them and ask the questions of the Wallabies to come out there. Now, they've had a crack down our end. Now let's put a bit of pressure on them to see if they can come out there and then start building that sort of mental sort of state out of them, you know, to say, well, let's back yourself to get out of that. And we played a bit more and keep making mistakes, and I think that's probably where we lost our way a little bit. And we brought it back in the second half, but we needed to go to half time to be able to have that talk. And I think that was probably the disappointing part, the fact that they were so messy and they didn't go to putting it in behind the Wallabies and asking the question of them.
And typically, Chelsea, what we do is we look at ourselves. But I think we have to look at the Wallabies as well, the fact they did some really positive things that disrupted our game. They brought pressure. What did you make of Dave Rennie's team, their performance, in particular the way they finished the game?
I think Dave Rennie and himself coaching that team, he's going to get them to where they need to be to perform against the ABs. He has so much respect, and he's obviously had a great coaching record. Plus, he's coached a lot of the boys in the All Blacks as well, so that could also be an edge. But, yeah, look, talking on the back of Super, the Super Rugby Australia teams didn't perform well, but we knew that they picked the cream of the crop and get them in a Wallabies jersey against the All Blacks. Even at Eden Park, they're going to come out absolutely firing. So they did their homework, the coaching staff. They knew where they could, I guess, kind of rattle the ABs a little bit. And I think they'll also be doing a massive review this week, because they were so close to winning that game, and just a few little different decisions here and there could have been a different story.
I disagree, Chelsea. I disagree for a reason. I think that you'll never get the All Blacks making that many mistakes in the first 20 minutes, and the Australian team did not capitalise on it. The fullback at one stage, instead of kicking to the corner, he made this kick that was like 20 yards. Then they got down and lost their lineouts. The All Blacks are not going to make those mistakes again, but you're not going to get the opportunity to mount pressure again. And I think they don't go away. I think Dave Rennie's done a great job with their character. They saw that against France and they came home late. But I reckon they missed an opportunity to really put us under the pump. I was sitting there watching the game thinking, 3 penalties in a row and 2 errors from the All Blacks. We should be pinned in our corner, just defending our butts off, trying to stay it, but it wasn't. So they blew it, I reckon, and they're not going to get that opportunity again.
Yeah, and when you're missing goal kickers against the All Blacks, the ability of that scoreboard pressure as well, they'll rue the fact that some of those in the first half certainly didn't go over. Well, there was 47,000 plus at the Test match on the weekend. It was a special night at Eden Park for our latest 100 Test All Black, Aaron Smith.
Smith, a milestone match for him.
Tonight, the great Aaron Smith becomes the 10th All Black to reach 100 Test matches. Now Smith looking to deliver, goes with a beautiful pass for David Huff, nearly, and he scores. Oh, the pass from Aaron Smith. Smith wants it, reckons blindsides the answer, and it is the answer.
His 100th game has come to an end. It will be a winning game. Outstanding performance. The best job in the world. I love this team so much.
So great to have Aaron Smith. Nuggie, you've joined us in the studio. I know it's a Monday night. This will be a day where you do your review. Congratulations. I know it was weighing on you a little bit last week, and the fact I'm sure you're grateful to be past it now, looking forward. You've heard our review in 6 minutes. Was there anything like what you went through today with Ian Foster and the coaching team?
Oh, I guess, you know, it was a lot more in your face because we were the ones that made the mistakes. We were the ones who gave away penalties or, you know, threw bad passes or dropped balls. So, you know, the review's a lot more at you and accountability. But you guys are bang on in that. But I think with what we were able to do for a big period of that game was really positive as well. And I'm really proud we were able to overcome. A lot of things that happen whenever we play Australia first test is that we lacked a bit of intensity or we didn't quite get a few things right. But our intensity was there because we were so eager and ready for a physical battle. But maybe early on our skills, our ability to see space and maybe, you know, respect the ball a bit and respect the Australians with their defence as well was missing in that first half.
And when you're on the field in that situation and things aren't going right, you know, there's been a lot of great talk about how you're leading now. What do you do personally and as a leader when it might be going a little bit pear-shaped? Firstly,
it's to get everyone in and try and get a single message from our game drivers. So our 10s will take from the attack focuses. I'm in the blackness group, our defence group, so I'll sort of present a D message. But a lot of our penalties early and mistakes were just individual skill errors, not taking a step at the ruck, at the back of the line-outs, giving away penalties by whacking an arm. They were all pretty random and a couple of lower ones, but it's still controllables for us. So the only reason we were under pressure is because we let them off the hook we were putting them under so much pressure at set-piece time, and then we were unable to capitalise. And just that, as I was sort of saying around kind of bringing a lot of intent, it kind of, you know, shortens your vision. And your skills we were so ready for a battle that, yeah, once the flow of the game kind of happened, half-time came at the best time. But I think for us a big moment was Sam Whitelock's call for a maul right on, you know, 39 minutes. That going into the shed, that's a gut punch if you're Australia, and it was a real boost for us.
Aaron, their line-out didn't start too well. I mean, they weren't very consistent. They lost a few, but they came back in the end. Were you guys, from a defensive point of view, you spoke about the defence, were you surprised at the variation, particularly that try that they scored and also some, you know, a couple that went to the front as well? Were you surprised by the Australian sort of, I suppose, approach in that? Because I've never sort of seen that from them.
Yeah, well, you're watching how they play, and that we put their line-out under pressure early, which was great. We were able to get guys in the air, and their overthrow move was great. And the bummer thing was just Richard missed a tackle. Everything, he read the overthrow, and it was just one moment. And you do that against Australia, it's a try, and that was. So you can review all this and that, but they nailed one moment and good on them. And we nailed a few more in the middle of the game. Yeah.
Aaron, I'm interested to know just a little bit of information about off-the-field stuff. So obviously you guys are in the public eye. People love you, but there are also a lot of people out there who scrutinise every single thing you guys do on the field. They all think they're pros. So what do you do as a person in the leadership group in the team to help kind of those young ones in the team that are reading stuff on social media? How do you kind of learn to block that out?
Yeah, I think it comes with time, and obviously the old factor of do you read all your press or do you read none? Yeah. If you do one or the other, you've got to have a plan around it. And if you read a lot of the articles and stuff, you've got to read the bad ones too, if you're that type of person. And take it for what it is. But like I said, our reviews are you know, very honest as well. So you come out of that one, take the bulletproof vest off and free it, but take the learnings. But I think around it is... the hardest thing is that with social media, people can message you directly, and you can see it and say it, but you know, young guys these days and Super Rugby, we get it. You just got to have a plan around it. I've had a few convos of young men coming up to me and our team saying, oh, how do you deal with this? What's your plan around that? And just trying to guide them, as I said, around having a plan. You can't take the good without the bad, so don't just read your good press is sort of where I try to guide them.
Nuggie, I want to talk about the pressure on the field, the fact that Test match rugby now is that since you need a balance, the fact how you want to play, but in reality, how you have to play to win games. Is that a challenge from time to time? Because like you say, you go through a training week to prepare for a test match with a game plan in mind, but as you're going through it, having to make those adjustments, we're seeing in South Africa right now what the challenges are going to be from them coming forward. How's the balance work in terms of working out, we'd love to do this, but reality is, this is test match footy?
Yeah, it's a tough one because we had a plan around, you know, how we wanted to exit and get our forwards in the game and that early, but there was just so many opportunities and we kind of fell into that trap of, oh, we could go on, it's hot here, we could do this, but we should have really got our forwards into the game, getting our loose forwards carrying early, cleaning rucks fast. And as you saw, the first plays after half-time were direct at them, we're coming, and that sets our game up. And, you know, our game drivers and that won't do that again. And, you know, we've got a lot of positives going forward around where we're at, but if we can fix a lot of our not discipline, but just our individual moments where we didn't get it right, where our defence is looking really great and our systems, and it's exciting. But test match rugby, playing Australia, you've got to respect them early, and what they did to us in the last 15 was pretty disappointing. But they're never going to go away. That's not the Aussie spirit. They're going to come and come and come. And it's up to us to chase that 80-minute performance and try and put it out there for that whole time. You're not going to win all the moments, but you've got to win more than them.
100 tests ago, young man, I've never met a quiet halfback, so maybe you might not have been quiet. But what's been the hardest thing for you from a leadership point of view, from changing your personality and stepping into that role?
I guess it's just the gauge of finding the balance of, does this need to be said? So when you're younger, not a game driver or a leader, and I was like a halfback, you used to get stuck in the moment of, boys, you're not cleaning out the ruck, the ball's not quick enough, and our effort's not there. But now it's really being able to take in the picture, what's actually happening, absorbing, and leaning on other leaders on the way to the huddle. What are you thinking here? Asking Richie what he thinks around our attack. And then, you know, making sure the message is clear. My focus is always to get the boys in and get their eyes, get a breath in, and then what's the clear message from here? What are we doing? And, you know, after that try Australia scored with the overthrow, it was a definite, we're going to go down there now, put them under pressure, get a set piece. That was the goal. So that's how the messaging works. And as a leader, that's sort of all I'm trying to do is whenever a message is said, no one's not distracted or thinking of the last moment. I made a mistake, I missed a tackle. It's, hey, bro, get focused in here. What are we doing next?
And when Sam made that decision, because we're all standing there going, wow, what a great call, did you talk about it or did he just go, Captain, we're going to the corner?
No, don't flinch. Let's go.
Nice. Don't flinch. Don't flinch.
That sounds something Brownie might have said down in Dunedin. Is that a little bit of that? You know, I mean, I must ask you, I mean, you think about what's coming up in front of you. So much uncertainty in the rugby world right now, and we know you are going to Australia after this test match to play. No certainty about when you might come home playing Argentina. How as a group are you guys dealing with that discussion right now? Are you week to week, month to month, and how are the conversations with family with that uncertainty?
Well, we've got multiple scenarios. So we've made sure the whole team knows all the scenarios. But this is a COVID world we're living in, and we have to deal with that. We went to Australia last year, and we were all fizzed to do it because we hadn't played rugby for 3 months, you know. So it's just what it is. We have to deal with it. Hey, it's not a bad job travelling the world playing rugby with your mates. So we've got to be real about that. It's not hard. The sacrifice for our families is tough, but you know, it's a hard line to cross. You don't want to say, oh, it's really tough, we're away this long, because it is tough, but everyone's doing it tough. And, you know, I think from that point of view, around that, decisions have got to be made, but we laid out what could be coming. But the main one is Eden Park Saturday night, a chance to win the Bledisloe Cup.
I want to ask, because you mentioned the fact it's about physicality, and every single time you came, you didn't win that physical battle with direct. You know what's coming at train. Is it as simple as that? As a fullback, I used to always look on the sheet and say, oh, man, we've got to tackle forwards today because they're going to run hard. So is it as simple as that you're going to bash bodies around this week at training?
I think it's in getting the balance of, you know, some of the offsides were just wanting to do it, where if we'd taken a step and just really got eager, not too eager. So I think it's that balance of knowing individually what you got to do. And, yeah, there was in the review, was some ugly clips of just you're offside there, it's clear. You're in the side there. You're giving, and we're not going to get any calls from refs. We can't depend on that, and you can't moan. And we might have got stuck in that a bit early, but everything was penalised, there was a reason. And guys, we're offside, we're in the side, hands in the ruck. If we cut that stuff out and trust our system, and then, you know, stay ruthless to try and chase that 80-minute performance, as I said, we've got a chance to do something special this Saturday.
Nagy, look, three things. Thanks so much for coming to the breakdown tonight. On a Monday night, I know it's a test week. Congratulations on your 100 test match, but your inspiration, the standards you set, the way you drive the culture in and around the team, not just for obviously the All Blacks, but the Highlanders and everyone you've been involved with, mate. It's great to have you with us. But don't go anywhere because we've got a trivia question coming up. And we think we might need you, but first, Bern,
I will.
Take us around, or JK will need you, but you take us around the world. Where are you starting tonight?
Starting by saying how good to have Aaron Smith here. Absolutely fantastic. And lucky we don't do too many reviews and have clips because there'd be a lot of ugly clips.
Oh, thanks very much.
Right, keen to start by sharing the best-selling chip in South Africa at the moment. Feast your eyes on the latest offering from Doritos. In fact, a special edition Dorito, a new flavour, Nacho Yeah. Ouch! Crushing disappointment for the Lions in the decider against the Springboks in Cape Town. 19-16 the final score. The halftime stats saw the Lions with 74% territory, 69% possession and leading 10-6 at the break. But they squandered opportunities and it was up to Mornay Steyn heroics to close it out with the boot. Deja vu for the 37-year-old who did the same thing 12 years ago, breaking line hearts during the 2009 tour. There it goes, 2009. Oh, now Mornay hasn't played a test since 2016. He came on in the 65th minute to replace Andre Pollard, who struggled with the boot. And who made the call to bring on Steyn? Their water boy, who never seems to carry any water, Rassie Erasmus. Genius, despite all the recent ramblings. Well, head coach Jacques Nienaber, he was so stressed about it, he admitted that he didn't even see the match-winning kick go over. I had my head down between my legs when he kicked that last penalty goal. To be honest, I just could not watch. The good news is, it all worked out. He needn't have worried Steyn. A seriously safe pair of boots. But how we got to that penalty. Like the two previous tests, this too was shrouded in controversy. In particular, the final penalty by Courtney Lawes. Pinged for not rolling away. Looks like he made a fair attempt. The refs ruled otherwise. It cost them the match. So you heard the refs saying, roll away, worth a penalty?
What about the quick tap? Hold on. What about the quick tap? Nuggy, are you looking and going, what are you doing? What are you thinking?
What a way of murder there.
No, exactly. I think it was sort of an ongoing. There'd been a number of phases and a number of guys, JK, who'd been in the way, and this was a culmination of wrong place, right time once again. Look.
I thought the captain was going to go and challenge the neck roll as well. So it could have also gone to another level if you see he got neck rolled as well.
Never short of drama, is it, though?
You've got to congratulate the Springboks, though.
Yeah,
totally.
I mean,
it's
an amazing series, right?
Yep.
The trouble is, for me, is that it's not the ref's fault, it's not his fault. We need to look at the rules so it's a bit more...
Better rugby?
Yeah,
I'll say it, better
well,
rugby.
I think this series, I'll just say this, I think Lions series are something unique where you do whatever it takes to win. I mean, they are something that are only played every 4 years. I think for me that's the nature of those test matches. We will not see test matches like that again, I'd say, for the rest of the year.
They just grind out the arm wrestle, don't they? Absolutely. All right, coming up, who's made a statement in the opening weekend of the Bunnings Cup? And we reveal our greatest All Black locks. But from our greats to the great debate. It's that time, JK, starting to sweat. Our trivia question tonight, team, our question focuses around first fives. And Nagy, you can either tap out on this one or have a crack.
No tapping out on the show.
Maybe help the panel. They need all the help they can get. Here's our trivia question for tonight. Who was the first five the last time the All Blacks lost to Australia at Eden Park? So first work out when we last lost to Australia.
JK was
playing.
JK was playing.
Yes. It's okay, JK, it wasn't your fault.
Oh, it wasn't your fault.
Last
who was
two
the
losses.
first five? So,
Foxy.
yeah. Is that your guess?
Oh, shit.
Hey,
let's get on the break.
Ponder that.
Sorry, Foxy.
Best guess. Nuggy, you got anything?
Well, I'd have to... That's what I was going to ask JK. In 86 and
It's one of your selectors, mate. I wouldn't say it if it's
Trust
Foxy.
me, don't ask JK.
I'll tap out, actually.
Right.
Goodness.
Accepted. We want him to come back, so that's accepted.
Thanks,
Best guess is accepted. Richard Quirk, doing the business quirky. You do make us laugh. Well done. You're with Breakdown, everybody. Back in studio now. The Olympics are over, but we're still a bit bleary-eyed, if we're honest. No excuses for foggy minds when it comes to this, the trivia question. I want to say, just if you haven't caught up with it, who was the first five the last time that the All Blacks lost to Australia at Eden Park? So we've ascertained it was 1986. What I want to do is put your hands up if you know the answer to this.
Well, he played,
No,
so...
put your hands up if you know.
No, I've got a really good idea, but I want JK to see...
Put your hands up if JK told you the answer, Jeffrey.
Well, I would have worked it out, but he just blurted it out.
Let's
Let him go first because he
JK.
played and make sure
The
he's
first
right.
time I've ever got one, all right?
No, it's not. You've been on the streak lately. Who was it?
Well, I thought it was Foxy, but it wasn't. It was Frano Bottica. I had to think back. It's a long way back, isn't it, Chelsea?
Frano Bottica.
You said there was no excuses, but I wasn't born, so I have no idea.
Thanks very much.
6 years. 6 years done.
Oh, look, he played for Croatia, believe it or not. He
He
also
did too.
played for the Chiefs. 1998 in a one-off game.
Warriors?
North Harbour, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it funny
Kiwis?
how Foxy had the better boot? That's really what kept
Wigan?
him on the bench. Yet he went on to be a prolific kicker.
Unbelievable.
In league. Yeah. Seriously. Oh, these are great, these trivia questions.
I've got it. Can I have the trivia question next week? I've got a good one.
Okay.
Oh, right, OK.
That's it.
Do a swapsy.
Got it.
All right, look, 3 rounds done and dusted in the FPC Championship standings. Let's see how it's all shaping up. The Manawatu Cyclones continuing to prove they're a real force in this comp. Played 3-1-3. Those are the stats you want to have. A 4-point buffer from North Harbour, who I watched from the stands. It was a solid win over the Naki yesterday. Hideous conditions, though. Tasman women are yet to get off the board with a bit of work to do there. On the Premiership table, we've had 4 rounds. Where's the time gone? The Red and Blacks reign supreme, 4 from 4 and a healthy 18 points after a stellar match against Auckland at Eden Park. 32 points to 7, their scrum unstoppable. The match of the round, surely, at Sky Stadium in the capital. Wellington took a thrilling 26-25 win at home. A real heartbreaker for counties. And on struggle street at the moment, Bay of Plenty. Come on, Bop, you can do it. We are out of the blocks, NPC action kicking off at the weekend, and you know the Bunnings Cup never fails to disappoint or unearth a star or two in the championship. First start wins for Manawatu, Taranaki and Otago. The Naki playing on Pukakura Park. They looked right at home against Hawke's Bay. They denied the Bay a bonus point despite a late surge. In fact, Southland was the only team to take a bonus point in their match against Otago. They held their Southern brothers to 19 all with just 3 minutes on the clock. But the Dunedin-based team locked it up with a try at the death. Wellington, the only team in the Premiership to take a bonus point. Their all-star cast delivered Northland a 54-7 thumping. They looked so dangerous. Waikato racked up 28 points to beat North Harbour. Defending champs Tasman roll Bay of Plenty for their first points of the comp. Canterbury, Bay of Plenty and Hawke's Bay winless in the round 1 matches. This is a perfect opportunity, really, Chelsea, to wax lyrical about Waikato, the mighty Waikato. And Mills, chip in if you're in Waikato mode this week.
You know.
Even know it.
No.
Yeah.
You gave up a bonus point, Chelsea. Bonus point down Dunedin, though.
We did. We gave your team a bonus point.
Didn't
so.
we earned the bonus point down there, thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. We had a cool opportunity to play under the roof on the weekend down in Dunedin, which was a first for everyone in our team except for myself. So that was pretty awesome. But to be honest, our game was a little bit like the first 25 of the AB's game. We had all our systems and our structures in place. It was just, there were a lot of individual errors. I don't know if it was the occasion or we were playing, but I think for us, it's a good time of the season to have a little mishap like that, because we've got like Nagi said, we've had some...
It's not a mishap. It's no easy feat going down to Dunedin and winning. And then Otago followed that game actually against South and against the Stags. Really, really good game. Great game. And it was the fans, to me, that got me excited about this game. I've got to be wary what I do with my hands now, thanks to Quirky. I'm sort of not sure what I do with them. Look, the bus loads were there, and the Southland fans were in full voice. They went up, and look, Marty Banks is on their side, Mills. I mean, this is a sight to see, and they were having a great old time. I thought they were going to steal it, but this is the sort of competition I think we're going to have this year, where it looks as though with a lot more experience across all of the teams, given the fact that less players have gone overseas, that I think most sides are going to be really close.
Yeah, and the balance between the crossover games as well. So, you know, often you sort of don't actually realise who's in what because it's so competitive. But great to see a crowd like that. And also, it was an away game for South. And so to have that busloads come up from Invercargill.
Be tough at Rugby Park. We're going to talk some analysis because JK wants to talk about Auckland. And yeah, they were good, JK, they were good. But we're going to talk about something you'd love even more. Laws of the game of rugby union.
I do not. I told you not to start.
Well, you got started earlier on.
Hey.
But we're going to carry that conversation on, the fact that World Rugby has introduced a few new laws.
Have they taken any out?
No, they haven't taken any out. We'll get to that, but we're going to focus on one in particular, and it's something Rugby League, of course, Mills, have introduced into their game. Well and truly, it's about position on the field, as is the 50-22. And pure and simply, it's all about really the opportunity to get an attacking set piece in the opposition half. This is something new. A 50-22 is going to have a positive effect on the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see here, like a turnover ball. What a massive kick. This is huge. No one backfield, rolls out in the 22, and of course they get a line out to themselves. And here, once again, another turnover play from Manawatu. They go wide. Again, everyone's out of play, and they put a kick downfield off the edge, which is...
And you can think counter-attack for a start, right? You think I'm going to find space. Oh, nothing on, defence is there. All of a sudden, a kick like this bounces it out, and you're in the other part of the field. You've got a line out, an opportunity maybe to go to a drive. So that might change some things. What are the things the defence now have to consider? How have they been dealing with it on the first couple of weeks? It's also an international rugby. How does it change the situation?
Well, it changes the back three, doesn't it? It changes where they stand, and obviously from set piece. There's no blind here. But there's also, so that means usually the winger's in the 15-metre channel, or on the 15. He doesn't. He has to come up from the 5-metre. And that's where they expose sort of and behind them. Again, once right here, they have to stand back in the 5-metre channel to make sure that doesn't happen. But it exposes some of the defences as well. So, and if they get it back and retain it, you know, it's try time.
So a lot of people are going to argue the fact there's going to be more kicking in the game. What does that, though, present the opportunity to the team receiving? In terms of receiving kicks, what can they look at to do?
Well, I think, you know, if you don't get the kick right, you can actually, you know, counter-attack and put it back. If you don't have a kick chase that goes forward because you're sort of, you know, holding back to think they're going to kick return kick, well, there's an opportunity there to actually counter-attack and have a go and sort of and wait for a moment to open up. So there's opportunities galore. They just haven't had an opportunity, teams, to try and nail it.
He's always got a question. Question from the floor.
Excuse me, teachers, I don't want to get to tension, but Millsy, so from a tactical point of view, would you try and do the 50-20 early to try and spread the defences to open up the middle of the field? Would you try, like the All Blacks, should they try and do that as part of their kicking plan?
Well, I think it has to be an option, right? And it all depends on, you know, where the back three are standing. You know, traditionally we have, you know, 3 guys back there. Now they're putting 2, but they have them on the edges. Do they send a winger, the fullback, you know, centurion, and put the winger back? Or is it hard enough for the halfback to come and actually try and cover those kicks? So they're constantly thinking, do they go to that? Perhaps they do, but risk versus reward. You know, they've got to get it out to be able to get that line out. And are they prepared, if it doesn't go out, to then defend?
I think this is going to be a real positive addition to the game. I think it's going to create some more space across the field and in the backfield, particularly for those short kicks. Of course, the action on the weekend was at Eden Park. 50-22 was an action there. We're there this weekend. Mills, you couldn't get enough. You went back there today.
I did, and I caught up with Wallaby centurion Sikopi Kepu, and we spoke about our days and reminisced about our days during the Bledisloe.
Jeeps, man, Eden Park, bro.
Oh man, some great memories. It's a special place to play, definitely.
Great memories, eh? We've got great memories of... We still haven't won that bad boy behind us.
I looked at around the bottom there, and it's just... it was my first time we actually touched it, so...
You look pretty good, man. I mean, you holding it, man. You look pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I was going to how did it taste? You know, drinking a beer out of them.
Oh, mate, I'll tell you, I can't explain what it tastes like, man, because you've got to actually win it. You've got to be able to win it, be able to taste that Steinlager out of it, eh? First blood. I mean, how will the boys be? What would be the preparation this week for them, man? Considering they came out, they played all right, though, eh? I mean, you've been there before. What do you reckon the focus would be, bro?
Yeah, man, like, you know, the game was in the balance. I thought, you know, right up till typical All Blacks, you know, 35 to 40 minutes, half-time, they always strike. And then it's that crucial 10 minutes after half-time, and I think, you know, that'll be a massive focus going forward.
I grew up watching the Wallabies, and they were the team to beat. You know, they gave us some heartache.
you're on the other side of that. You know, you've felt a lot of that hurt, and you know, although you speak about it, they talk about it every time, you know, week in, week out when you come to the prep about, you know, we don't, Eden Park, you know, the history behind it, haven't won here in 1986, and you know, Bledisloe's important. But really, do you think that's a factor? Because for me, in an All Black environment, it was.
You know, when I was playing, I think we didn't harp on enough about trying to get it back. And it would have been interesting to see some insight from the guys that actually won it and held on to it. You know, the guys from the late 90s to the early 2000s.
If you're in there now, as a player, because I can hear the passion in your voice. You know, I'm sitting here a little bit cocky because we've already got one hand on it. But what do they need to do? What do they need to do? You've talked about the culture, you've talked about the hurt, and obviously the pain. I'm pretty sure they would have touched on a lot of that too. But it's more than that, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you know, the lineouts, they fixed themselves in the end there. You know, and that's what Test match footy is about, right? It's all the little things, the little mistakes. You know, they've got a world-class coaching staff there that definitely, I reckon, they would have already, you know, sorted that out and get the boys up for a weekend.
Oh, mate, well, I hope what you just mentioned doesn't eventuate. In fact, what gave me comfort is the guy that was mowing the lawns downstairs started turning his lawnmower on, so perhaps he thinks it's a bit of rubbish too.
Kia ora and welcome back to The Breakdown. Yes, we have had our greatest All Black 15 discussion continue over the last 7 days. Let's go back to Nisbo and talk about the locks.
Welcome back to where we try to pick the greatest All Black 15 here on The Breakdown. Last week, the expert panel of myself, Ricky Swinell, Phil Gifford and Ken Laban picked Sir Colin Meads and Brodie Retallick as our greatest All Black locks. And the public has overwhelmingly agreed with us. So, the greatest All Black locks are Brodie Retallick and Sir Colin Meads.
Colin Meads obviously transcends the game for all sorts of reasons, doesn't it? You know, in terms of ability, longevity, pain barrier, controversy.
Colin Meads may have been ordered off the field.
He did it all.
3 points to 8 up as Lahore again takes it. This is Colin Meads. Look at this, like a human can.
Not a tall lock by any means, but awfully competitive. Some of the players in the 50s, 60s had skill sets that you need today.
Oh, the fear factor, I think. He had this aura about him that was intimidating. He was an enforcer in every sense of the word. He was strong, he was powerful. He had that furrowed brow, and if he told you not to touch him again, he actually meant it. He was an awesome presence. Ball in hand, running with one hand down the field. Just intimidating.
Tough, rugged and durable.
There's no doubt about that. I was lucky to have a few games with Colin towards the end of his career. He simply is the best lock that I think world rugby has seen. He was driven by incredible determination to dominate his opposition and driven to be the fittest he could possibly be.
Here's Retallick again. Oh! Kidding me! What a player!
I loved playing alongside Brodie. Like he intimidated opposition because he was a brute of a man to try and tackle and stop. But his skill level for a big man was phenomenal.
Playing against Brodie is not fun at all. He's a constant pest. He's just competitive, and he's so smart and so long and big and strong and so good at rugby. Like, one of the most talented guys I've ever played with by far, and how young he was. We both started our career in the All Blacks together, and he shot up to superstardom very quickly. From his days with the Chiefs straight into the All Blacks, fitted in like a glove, and then winning a World Player of the Year, and that just shows the class of the guy. And I think his All Black Test record speaks for itself too. Like, games that he's been a part of, we usually won, and a lot of the games where he was either injured or not, and losses I've been a part of, he wasn't playing. And I've been in teams with great All Blacks, but you felt confident when Brodie Retallick was running around that you'd go close to winning that day. He just has that winning mentality, and whatever is needed, he'll do, whether it's a charge down, a big hit, a turnover, a great line-out steal. His ability to impact the game was phenomenal, and from lock, I think he's changed the game.
Off goes Conrad Smith, pops it up, Brodie Retallick gets his first Test try under the post.
When you talk about those players that change the game, the size, the skill set, the motor. If there's one thing I can think about Brodie Retallick is his physicality that he brings to the game. When he hits people at rucks, and this is me as a teammate saying this, it's a good thing when you're on the same side as him, but you know, I obviously played against him Super Rugby, so been on the end of a couple of good clean-outs there from him. It's a big man, and when he's moving, he brings something special to a team that's really, it's that steal.
Well, Chelsea, the standard was set in black and white, and then all of a sudden Brodie Retallick's continued that on, and he has been a remarkable All Black, and great to see him back in black now.
Yeah, like, I think the guy said it, Kevin Nuggie. He's just a beast of a man. Not only is he just relentless, he's someone you want on your team. He does his core roles well, but he goes over and above that. He can sidestep, he can fend, he keeps up with backs, he runs amazing support lines, and yeah, unreal.
From the Chiefs, obviously, because you're so excited to talk about it.
I am.
But you think about Pine Tree and the legacy he has left, JK. Just quickly, I mean, what a wonderful man, and he set the standard in terms of toughness for our All Black forwards.
Yeah, and I'll actually never forget him for a softer side of him. I was really, really struggling mentally on a tour. He was our manager, and he must have sensed it, and he came and sat with me for 10 minutes and just really tried to boost my confidence. It was just really, really important for me. So he was a superhero for me from a rugby point of view. You know, he's everything we always aspired to be, or leave the All Black jersey like he did. But, you know, he just sensed something, so I'll never forget him for that.
The aura that was around him, you always knew there was something special about his connection with the game of rugby union. Well, we're getting to probably the most contestable part of our game, not just in playing, but of course across the depth of position. Let's go to our selectors to talk about the loose forwards.
Our greatest 15 shortlist for open side flanker is Waka Nathan, Graham Murray, Michael Jones, Richie McCaw.
Look, I think Richie McCaw, for me, is a relatively easy choice, despite how good that list is. What, 148 tests, a couple of World Cups. He played 2011 with a bolt in his foot, a fearsome leader. Yeah, it's McCaw. McCaw easily.
Phil, most people would say, who remember, Michael Jones was a freak.
Yes.
Is that a fair comment?
Michael Jones could jump as high on the wall as any of the All Black locks. Michael Jones had upper body strength that matched all the All Black props. He also had a skill set that matched the first and second 5/8s in the All Blacks in the 87 Rugby World Cup. So he put it all together, and there is no other way to describe Michael Jones than an absolute freak. So as far as this contest, for me, it is a hell of a hard one, actually. I have to go for Richie McCaw, because 15 seasons in the All Blacks, every single minute on the field, there was 100% concentration, totally dynamic. I have to vote for McCaw.
There's nothing that's been said about Richie McCaw. Michael Jones I disagree with, but Richie McCaw would be my choice.
Well, I think we're all agreed here. Our contender for greatest All Black at open side flank is Richie McCaw. Ball lost, here's McCaw. McCaw for the corner. Richie McCaw. Our shortlist for blindside flanker is firstly Michael Jones, who was also a contender, of course, in the open side position. Ian Kirkpatrick, Jerry Collins and Jerome Kaino. Ken, let's start with you. Where does your vote go?
Jerome Kaino is the greatest number 6 that's ever played rugby. And if you talk to All Black personnel that were involved with the 2011, 2015 Rugby World Cup victories, they will tell you, as Steve Hansen has told me many times, that those two campaigns swung on 2 enormous plays, one a defensive one an offensive one that involved Jerome.
But do you feel comfortable having an All Black team that doesn't have Michael Jones in it?
Good look at him.
Oh, is that me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Look at me.
Yeah.
Well,
nice try, Ken, to deflect it directly.
Well,
yeah, thanks, mate.
It's a very subjective, talofa. Michael, I know you're watching. Sorry, brother. It's nothing personal, bro. It's all business. But I think in terms of blindside flankers, Michael Jones was the number 7 who played 6 because we had to accommodate him in the team. Jerome Kaino was a specialist number 6 who absolutely dominated that position.
I'm going to say Jerome Kaino as well, because I will never, as long as I live...
I always like you, Ricky.
As long as I live, the defensive play in the semi-final against Australia in 2011, where he basically manhandled Digby Ioane, wasn't it? He pretty much pulled him back from the line.
Threw him over the grandstand.
Threw him over. And that, to me, was the winning of the 2011 World Cup.
It was.
I just can't go past Michael Jones. He has to be in this team, to me, because he is, without question, and you know, on the number 7, the open side flanker, we had to pick between Richie McCaw and Michael Jones. I mean, good grief, that's just a nightmare to select that. So I'm sorry, but Michael Jones goes in my team. As great as Jerome Kaino is, I'm picking Michael at 6.
Yep, I'm the same with you, Phil. I can't pick an All Black team that doesn't have Michael Jones in it.
Yeah.
So what we normally say at this stage is we're all agreed, but we're not all agreed.
No.
So it's up to you, the public.
As the All Blacks mix up the lineup, beautiful take by Robin Brooke. Michael Jones, the Iceman, has the first try of the Test match.
Our greatest 15 shortlist for number 8 is Brian Lahore, Wayne Shelford, Zinzan Brooke and Kieran Reid. Big lineup that. Phil, where does your vote go?
There's some fabulous number 8s, whether it's the skill of Murray Mexted or the guts and the toughness of Buck Shelford, or the all-round amazing play and the leadership of Brian Lahore. But I think when you've got a number 8 that can drop kick a goal from 40 metres, when you've got a number 8 that when he was 13 was working as a professional shearer with his mother, who was a professional shearer, when you've got a number 8 who I first met when he was a 16-year-old and against rough and tough big truck drivers and guys that worked in quarries, won $1,000 in a gravelling shoveling contest in a shopping mall in Henderson that I was emceeing for a radio station, that's Zinzan Brooke. And Zinzan Brooke may have done all the flashy stuff, and he could certainly do that. But by God, he was as tough as nails as well. So my vote goes to Zinny.
Yeah, I'm going to go Zinzan Brooke too. For me, just the ultimate skilled number 8.
Yeah.
It's interesting how the game's evolved over time when we now expect our front rowers to be able to run and pass like backs. We expect our locks to be able to win line-outs, win kick-offs, but like Brodie Retallick, run in midfield and be able to create play and opportunities. And Zinzan Brooke was one of those players before the game was ready for him.
Yeah,
because had Zinzan had played in the modern era, it would have been a hell of a contest between him and Reid, who gets the number 8 jersey.
I mean, that drop kick in '96, that's one of the iconic images of New Zealand rugby.
Yeah.
The still shot of him with the fist pump afterwards.
There's that saying in sport, isn't it? How do you spot the great players? And people say it's easy when the game's on the line.
That's it.
They're the ones screaming for the ball. That was Zinzan Brooke.
Yeah.
Great player.
Absolutely. There we are.
Too right.
Great player. So we're agreed. Our contender for the greatest All Black at number 8, Zinzan Brooke.
What a superb dozen to choose from. McCaw, Michael Jones, Zinny, Brian Lahore, Kieran Reid, Jerome Kaino. How do you possibly decide from that group? Well, you have to. The vote is yours. Head to our Facebook page, Sky Sport, and see if you can split the greats.
JK's already shaking his head, but he's shaking his head because it's such a contest. We will get into that next Monday, but let's turn our focus to Eden Park just quickly. How do you see it playing out? Do New Zealand hold on to the Bledisloe Cup this weekend, JK?
Yeah, they do. I think they'll be way more clinical. I think they are striving towards the 80-minute performance. I just think if we can do that, we have a little bit more quality.
Chelsea?
Yeah, I liked hearing what Nuggie had to say tonight, that they've had some really honest, raw reviews, so I think they're going to take that in and put it into play this weekend.
And for you, Mills?
Yeah, I think the All Blacks they'll do it. But, hey, the Wallabies will be a lot better also as well. They've got a quality side and a young quality side too, so I'm looking forward to the way they come out and perform.
It's all on at Eden Park this weekend. So much great rugby action. Make sure you join us in 7 days' time. We'll look deep into the heart of a test match at Eden Park and a loose forward discussion. Can't wait to be part of that.
They won't pull him back, I don't reckon. Smith wants it, reckons blindside's the answer, and it is the answer. But Damien McKenzie, Lawless CEO, they got a score, so the Wallabies cash in finally. A little kick in, what a beauty it is too, and Banks is going to get a couple.
Yeah, and a proud finish also from the Wallabies.
The great Aaron Smith becomes the 10th All Black to reach 100 Test matches.